Today, we're gonna be doing some exciting stuff, at least to us. We are tilling up our new garden plots. We already have a spot marked out in the nice sunny corner and flat corner of the property. The guys that are working on it, breaking it up a little bit more from yesterday. I guess we can go see how that's going. Planning on cleaning up some of this chicken crap today? You don't like how it looks? So you can see the guys back here broadforking one of the plots in our little vegetable plot we're establishing this year. We are at the Constitution location. We chose this little spot. It's pretty flat, gets a lot of sun. The drainage is okay, the soil is okay. It's in the northeast corner of the property. The plan is to just designate it for our garden area. This year we want to do one plot of Hickory King corn because we like growing Hickory King. Tastes good, it stores for a long time. It's kind of fun to grow. We're also going to grow a plot of cantaloupes, plot of mixed vegetables, and then we also are going to have a plot of sweet potatoes. So each plot is 40 by 50, 2,000 square feet. So we're gonna try to do the best we can with 8,000 square feet of fairly intensive vegetable garden. We've all been racking our brains over here trying to figure out a decent solution for tilling up our garden plots. We've tried multiple things. When we started at the farm, we had a really nice John Deere, probably 5-foot PTO powered rototiller, and it seemed like a no-brainer, but our soil's really rocky. Last year, I destroyed the tiller. It blew up on me, basically. I don't know if it was my fault completely. It's kind of absurd to have a piece of equipment that can't do a basic job. I don't feel like it was abused. So that's not really an option for us. We're not doing things on a huge scale, so having a big tractor-driven tilling implement is kind of unnecessary. We're not trying to grow 25 acres of corn. We're gardening over here. There aren't a whole lot of obvious solutions for tilling. There's the walk-behind tractor, which is like a $5,000 to $10,000 or $15,000 expense, and we can't justify that. We're just really dabbling in market gardening right now, so that's kind of ruled out. What we have tried, we have this little rototiller. This is like a pretty typical home use rototiller. It's kind of like a really weak little version of a walk-behind tractor, and it's not really effective at all for even our small scale garden, 8,000 square feet of little garden plots. It's just not gonna do the job. We also have this, which we've never actually used here because somebody at some point in the past twisted it all up. Would have been probably nice. We could just pull it behind our tractor. But again, when we're working these little garden plots, it seems a little ridiculous to have even a 45 horsepower tractor in a little 2,000 square foot garden plot. So I was really hoping that we could find something that would work for our small scale and be cost effective and actually be effective on our clay soils. I've heard conflicting things about Broadforks. I've heard some people say they're not worth the expense. They are kind of pricey, but I just kind of went for it, and I think it's gonna work for us. You have to work at it. It requires a little bit of muscle. It requires a little bit of effort, but it seems like it's gonna work, and the Broadforks we got are pretty stout. They seem fairly indestructible, so I'm pretty confident that we're gonna be able to whip this soil into decent shape. These are our new tillage solutions here, our Meadow Creature Broadforks. These are the 14-inch ones, the tall ones. So they get 14 inches into the soil. They have these really hefty tines on them. I mean, you can see this thing is pretty aggressive. It's supposed to be pretty much indestructible. I have personally dug up a couple stumps with them already. I am not concerned whatsoever about these things breaking. So I'm really optimistic that these are gonna be a good fit for us and always be ready to till up whatever we need, and we can use them to dig things up and aerate, and yeah, I feel pretty good about them. They are kind of pricey. They're like, I don't know, $250 a pop. Rototiller is easily $300, $400 and requires gas and maintenance and breaks down constantly. This is like breakfast powered. I like it. So the way that I found to use this thing the best is pretty much just going backwards. Just makes sense. You can see these things have a nice little curve to them. So just kind of choose a path, step on it, and use your body weight a little bit, and I guess kind of develop your own technique. I guess you could potentially just stick it in there and you know, not turn the soil if you were just trying to aerate, but we're really trying to tear this stuff up and rip up some of these weeds and some of these roots. So we're kind of going for more of a actual turning. Also just trying to break up some of these big clumps of clay. So as you can see, making this second pass, it's really not too hard. This thing pretty much goes in by itself. The hardest part is just dealing with the, you know, big clumps everywhere, big holes everywhere. But the more passes you make, the more chopped up everything gets. I'm really impressed with how this thing's working. Yeah, for all the skeptics, I would say that a super stout Broadfork like this is definitely a viable option. Definitely be great if you have a, you know, good vegetable garden at home and you're sick of messing with the gas-powered rototillers and all that. I'm happy with it. You guys want to, real quick, before we use the wheel hose, we need to make sure all the bolts are tightened up. Yeah. Tight enough to not fall off, tight enough to not get things torqued and twisted and falling off and crap. We got this plot fairly well chewed up. We probably missed a couple spots. There's still a good amount of vegetation in here. Now we're breaking out our new wheel hose. Been experimenting with these a little bit. They're really cool. They work really well. The only complaint, you know, that anybody could probably have about these is would be if they're just misusing them. These things aren't designed to break ground. They're designed to maintain, you know, already broken ground and keep it nice and fluffy, and of course, chop up weeds, and they do a really good job at that. And so basically what we're gonna do is just keep on breaking these big clumps up and grabbing some big rocks as we see them and ripping up some weeds here and there, and we're just gonna keep on working the soil. This is the high arch wheel hoe. It's designed to cultivate both sides of a row of whatever, corn or anything. But I'm just kind of going through with these cultivating teeth and just breaking these clumps up. Just kind of doing what's fairly easy, and it's just gonna be a process, but these things do work really well, and even in our heavy clay soil, I'm pretty impressed with them. It definitely beats a regular hoe. You know, after we make a couple passes with the wheel hose, we'll probably jump back on the Broadforks. Yeah, it's just a process. You just have to make multiple passes until it looks good. We just finished going through our 40 by 50 plot after Broadforking. It went pretty well. I mean, we broke up the big clumps and it wasn't super hard. The wheel hose worked really well. Again, they're not for breaking ground. I'm super happy with these tools. I mean, they're awesome.
Yeah. I thought it was gonna go a lot more horrible, just because I hate having to work with my hands a lot, especially with these tools. They were very scary. I was like, oh man, this is gonna suck. I mean, well, I can't feel my shoulders at the moment after finishing with the wheel hoe, but it got done pretty fast.
All right, so now we're gonna start from square one at this other plot. We haven't done anything with it. It's just nice, hard Virginia clay with plenty of rocks in it and vegetation, a little bit of cover crop stuff going on, some oats, but a lot of weeds. If the Broadforks can tear this up, I think they can tear just about any soil up, and we're gonna show you what they can do.
At the moment, I feel a little tired, but the sick part of me actually is enjoying it. It almost feels like when you're mowing and you just kind of mindlessly do it, just row after row.
We should get a good return from our efforts here. We shouldn't have to Broadfork it constantly. It's more of establishing the garden that's gonna be the hard part. It only should get easier from there. Guys, had to head home, so I'm just gonna finish up this plot and call it a day.